That day, light streamed through the windows of Danvers High School in Massachusetts, yet no one could have known that it would be a morning filled with pain and chaos. Colleen Ritzer, a young, passionate teacher, and Philip Chism, a student, encountered each other in a blood-drenched tragedy. Colleen stepped into the school with hopes of spreading optimism, but the dark event awaited its moment to unfold. On a day in 2013, their fates collided in an unforeseen nightmare. But what unfolded in the school's shadows? A heart-wrenching tale of tragedy and chaos emerged, forcing every individual involved to confront what they had never imagined. What drove a student to such heinous acts? And how did Colleen, someone presumed to always be safe in her role, fare? Let's delve deeper into the minds and psyches of those behind this narrative, to gain a better understanding of what can happen when the darkness lurking within individuals is unleashed. Colleen Ritzer, 24 years old, lived in Andover, Massachusetts with her parents. Since childhood, she had dreamed of becoming a teacher, particularly in the field of mathematics. She found a job at Danvers High School teaching math, and it was her second year there. Colleen's diligence and passion were evident in her adherence to a fixed schedule, arriving at school early and leaving late to ensure that every student enjoyed a positive learning environment. One of Colleen's students was a 14-year-old boy named Philip Chism, carrying within him the dark patches of personal life and having recently moved to Massachusetts after his parents' divorce. His mother wanted a divorce in 2001, citing a physical, emotional, and alcohol abuse. In documents obtained by Heavy, it said that Diana Chism filed for divorce against Stacy Chism in March 2001. The couple were married in September 1998, with Philip being born in January 1999. Philip brought along with him a mix of complex and negative emotions. He made friends at school and joined the soccer team, being described as quiet but quite polite. Not long before the crime, he had requested his history teacher to transfer him to an honors class to challenge himself, despite Philip being an average student who sometimes failed to do homework assignments. However, it cannot be concluded that this directly relates to Philip's later actions, but it is an important starting point to understand his psychology and context before the event. Keep watching to see if there are other factors that may play a role in this. This is noteworthy as it may indicate that Philip is under internal pressure or seeking to prove his abilities. The transition from a new environment, coupled with his parents' divorce, could cause stress and psychological pressure on him. Wanting to move into an honors class may be a way for him to feel acknowledged and mark a positive change in his life amidst family upheavals. This leads us to the timeline of the crime. On October 22, 2013, Colleen arrived at school before 7 a.m. as usual. It was Dress Like Your Friend Day, and she wore a purple shirt and black pants, coincidentally matching another math teacher named Sarah. Philip Chism was also present at school and had done well on a quiz earlier that morning. He attended Colleen's math class, the last period of the school day starting at 1 p.m. Philip's behavior seemed normal, albeit a bit quieter than usual, and there was no negative interaction between him and Colleen in class. After the class ended at 1:55 p.m., there was a short period until 2:30 p.m. for students to seek help from teachers. Philip stayed in Colleen's class during this time, while another student named Autumn came to visit Colleen. Autumn observed their interaction. Colleen, as usual, approached Philip with politeness and respect, but Philip seemed to become increasingly uncomfortable and agitated when answering her questions. Colleen asked Philip a series of questions, including about his feelings toward the new school in Tennessee. However, Philip became increasingly uncomfortable answering the questions, displaying hurried gestures and mumbling in his speech. Colleen recognized the tension within Philip and changed the topic to something unrelated to Tennessee to avoid further disturbing him. Colleen switched the topic to an unrelated subject and left the room to talk to Sarah, her friend who was also a math teacher. Meanwhile, Philip engaged in conversation with Autumn, leaving only the two students, Philip and Autumn, in the classroom. At this point, he stopped mumbling and his mood seemed normal. Sarah asked Colleen if she needed to return to her classroom. Colleen pointed out that Autumn was just drawing on the board, and she didn't know why Philip was there. Colleen returned to the classroom and told Autumn and Philip that she would be leaving soon. Autumn began to leave, and Colleen spoke with her at the classroom door. Autumn told Colleen that she was a great teacher and a great person. Philip's demeanor changed upon hearing this. Now he appeared to be angry and annoyed. Autumn left the classroom, and now only Colleen and Philip remained. There were only a few other students in that area of the school at that time. At that moment, Colleen Ritzer walked out of the classroom, moving slowly and trying to keep her composure as she headed toward the girls' bathroom on the second floor. On the surveillance camera, Philip's silhouette appeared, just seconds after Colleen left the classroom. He meticulously checked every detail before quietly entering the classroom and pulling his hood over his head. Tension filled the air as he left the room and began following Colleen toward the bathroom. His steps became more cautious, and a cold silence enveloped the scene, like the essence of a dark conspiracy. Wearing white gloves and carrying a box cutter in his pocket, he stopped at the bathroom door. His eyes scanned his pockets and arms, making sure the knife remained in place before continuing, like a predator ready to strike at any moment. In the bathroom, investigators believe Philip harmed Colleen. He brutally attacked her, stripped her, and sexually assaulted her, repeatedly stabbing and cutting with a box knife. The cold sound of the blade pierced the air, and the deep wounds on Colleen's body were evidence of the brutality of the attack. The horror and pain from this scene only increased the fear and anxiety. Some investigators believe Colleen died in this bathroom, while others suspect the tragedy lasted longer than that. Whether Philip strangled her first remains unclear. During those 11 painful minutes, a female student entered the bathroom. However, due to a wall dividing it in two, she only saw the pantsless part of a stranger. This sudden, horrifying scene instilled a feeling of fear and anxiety in her heart. Furthermore, she did not see Colleen or blood, nor did she hear any sounds. Philip then quickly left the restroom, carrying Colleen's underwear, blood on his right hand. He descended the stairs from the upper floor to the ground floor and exited the building. A mother, sitting in her car, waiting for her child, observed him scanning the surroundings with a sly glance as he headed towards the bushes, giving off an aura as though he were changing clothes or pulling up his pants. When he emerged from the bushes, he no longer held any garments and was clad in a plain white t-shirt. Later, he returned inside the building, ascended the stairs to the second floor, and then entered Colleen Ritzer's classroom. Each step he took on the staircase seemed to plunge deeper into the abyss of his mind. A while later, he emerged from that classroom, now wearing a crimson sweater and carrying both Colleen's backpack and lunch bag. He threw Colleen's backpack into the recycling bin on the ground floor, an act resembling a declaration of war, then returned to the second floor. Approaching the restroom where Colleen's body lay, he paused, turned back, and then walked in the opposite direction. The space enveloped by his silence and calculated movements created a chilling atmosphere, leaving everyone unsettled and unable to predict what would happen next after that dark event. This evoked a sense of anticipation or anxiety, as he seemed to ponder his next move after unleashing such a terrifying consequence. What befell Colleen, and would that heinous act come at a steep price? Philip and Ramsey met each other on the staircase of the building, where the light from the window cast strange shadows. Initially, Philip had promised to meet Ramsey at the soccer field, but Ramsey arrived to find no sign of him, prompting him to search. Today felt different, an unsettling feeling enveloping Ramsey's heart as he searched for his friend, wondering why he hadn't shown up at the soccer field as planned. When Ramsey inquired with Philip about the reason, Philip responded with a distant gaze, his eyes filled with worry, contemplation, and sweat dripping from his forehead, seemingly unfocused on giving a clear answer. He simply mentioned losing something important. Despite Ramsey's attempts to pry for more information, Philip remained silent and instructed Ramsey to head to the soccer field first, assuring him that he would meet him there. Unable to grasp Philip's true state of mind, Ramsey decided to follow him down the stairs. Amidst the tension and anxiety, Ramsey witnessed Philip pulling a recycling bin towards the elevator, unsure of what was inside. The sense of mystery and suspense only intensified as they continued to move through the silent corridors of the building, nobody uttering a word, yet the dark nature of Philip's actions remained undisclosed. At that moment, his mind harbored a manifestation of abhorrent cruelty and heinous crime. He rolled Colleen's body into the elevator without a shred of remorse, akin to a cold-blooded murderer executing his plan. As the bin ascended to the second floor and entered the restroom, a scene of utmost brutality unfolded. Colleen, an innocent soul, was placed into the bin and whisked away like a worthless piece of merchandise. Philip didn't stop there. He lost all semblance of humanity. With chilling ruthlessness, he rolled the bin into the woods behind the school, where few ventured. Here, Colleen's corpse, positioned in a corner, became the focal point of a ghastly sexual assault to obliterate any traces. It is believed that here Colleen was once again raped with a long object and repeatedly stabbed with a paper cutter. I won't elaborate on what he did with the object, but you can imagine how he used it to perpetrate a savage sexual assault on Colleen's genitals. It was at this moment that Colleen truly perished. At that juncture, Philip wasn't just a cruel murderer. He had descended into the depths of depravity. He didn't just ruthlessly end Colleen's life, he also committed sexual assault, displaying an ice-cold cruelty beyond comprehension. Philip's repulsiveness didn't end there. He scattered pieces of paper containing expressions of despair and hatred. "I hate you all." After leaving the woods, he returned to the high school, exchanging his blood-soaked clothes like a cursed vandal. He casually passed through the second-floor girls' restroom, left the school for a brief moment, then returned to the woods. In those 12 minutes there, Philip wasn't human. He was a malevolent demon. He returned to the school once more, feigning normalcy as if nothing had happened, engaging in conversation with a friend about a church youth group, a nauseating sense of innocence. Finally, he left the premises around 4:30 p.m., like a remorseless killer evading the consequences of his deeds. He kept Colleen's cell phone, wallet, and underwear, as if they were sharp pins piercing straight into his mind. Without hesitation, he decisively used Colleen's credit card to purchase items from Wendy's and a movie ticket for Gravity. But what was even more concerning, he recklessly trespassed into a store, like a phantom sneaking in the night, stealing a sharp hunting knife before fleeing from Danvers and plunging into the darkness of Topsfield not too far away. Philip's mother was worried about her son's absence when he didn't return home. Under the glaring red lights illuminating the path in the haze on Route 1 of Topsfield, the atmosphere was tinged with tension, with the sounds of insects buzzing in the late-night air creating a hair-raising sensation. But nothing could match the mystery of a shadowy figure creeping along the darkened road. The footsteps of a mysterious killer on the desolate road were like specters moving through the night, flickering in the red glow of the street lamps, like embers slowly burning. Meanwhile, the police, with the bright light from their flashlights like beacons shining on a towering mountain, gradually shattered the wall of darkness, unveiling the mysteries waiting to be discovered. The local police wasted no time. They approached the man and began questioning him. Questions poured out, but the man's answers surprised the police. Nowhere. When asked about his point of origin, he unhesitatingly lied that he was from Tennessee, a deceitful act filled with malice that made the police understand he had traversed a horrific journey from somewhere. Under the glaring lights from the bright red lamps and the police's flashlights, terrifying evidence began to emerge. Personal documents, insurance cards, and Colleen's credit card. Amidst the ceaseless chaos, a pressing question loomed in everyone's mind. Who was this mysterious man, and what was happening to Colleen? After discovering Colleen's cell phone, wallet, and underwear in Philip's possession, everything in the investigation started to become clearer. While Colleen's name didn't evoke much emotion, Philip's name caused concern, as he had been reported missing by his family. The police promptly transferred him to the station for further investigation. The discovery of Colleen Ritzer's body in a wooded area near the school, covered with leaves and debris, as stated in court papers, only adds to the horror of the crime. At first glance, this scene brings to mind the pain and cruelty of Philip's actions. Philip's actions have caused an indescribable tragedy for Colleen Ritzer's family and loved ones. The loss is not only about a life cut short abruptly, but also about the irreparable psychological trauma. This tragedy also extends to the community, affecting all those who knew and loved her. Ritzer was not just a teacher, she was also a woman, a person with dreams, hopes, and aspirations. Her loss is not just an individual loss, but also a loss for a community, an education system, and a society. This brutal act has taken a life and caused an irreparable wound for many people. In the darkness of disappointment and sorrow, we pray for strength and faith for Colleen Ritzer's family and loved ones to overcome this challenge. During the search, they found a series of suspicious items on Philip, including a pair of women's underwear, a wallet, Colleen's keys, and a bloody knife. When questioned about the blood, Philip coldly replied, "It's a girl's." He went on to say that she had been buried in the woods, identifying her as Colleen, the owner of those belongings. Around 3 a.m., Colleen's body was found, leading to Philip's arrest on multiple charges, including murder. Despite being only 14 years old, he would be tried as an adult. During his detention, Philip was also accused of attacking a female staff member with a pencil in the bathroom, resulting in additional charges, including attempted murder. In 2016, after a tense trial process, Philip Chism was convicted on numerous charges related to the assault and murder. He received a life sentence with the possibility of parole after 25 years, the maximum sentence due to his young age at the time of the crime. Additionally, he received a 40-year sentence for robbery and weapons charges, making him eligible for parole at the age of 54. His defense team did not dispute his guilt, but argued that his severe mental illness was the reason for his lack of criminal responsibility. A mental health clinician hired for his defense conducted 7 interviews with Philip in 2015, noting concerning observations. When 14-year-old Philip Chism arrived at Danvers High School, he brought with him a blue hoodie with a hood, gloves, a mask, a box cutter, and a horrifying purpose, prosecutor Kate McDougall said in her opening statement. Sarah, a colleague of Colleen's, testified that she had spoken with Colleen on the afternoon of her death. After classes had finished for the day, the two met in Colleen's classroom, where Sarah saw 2 of Colleen's students. Sarah said that while the conversation was normal, Colleen had mentioned that she didn't know why the boy was here after school hours. Sarah identified that boy as Chism. Philip's disorganized behavior has raised concerns among many. However, what is more surprising is the instances when Philip becomes completely indifferent, like an emotionless shell. During conversations, he often speaks incoherently and cannot concentrate, as if his mind is elsewhere. When asked about his mood, Philip confides in the doctor that he has been experiencing strange phenomena since he was 10 years old. He recounts voices in his head, commanding him to perform negative actions and sometimes putting him in dangerous situations. However, Philip cannot provide an accurate description of how these voices emerged, only sharing various stories about their origins. Despite denying any history of trauma or abandonment, the doctor notices some underlying signs. Philip often avoids sensitive issues and has terrifying nightmares related to experiences he cannot explain. Anxiety and disorder have become an inseparable part of his daily life. The doctor speculates that Philip's move from Tennessee may have caused trauma, but does not rule out the possibility of more complex mental issues. Although determining the prognosis for mental health or trauma is challenging, the doctor ultimately concludes that Philip may be suffering from an unspecified mental disorder. Philip was believed to have psychosis, but it didn't neatly fit into established diagnostic classifications like schizophrenia or major mood disorder with psychosis. Clinicians acknowledge that certain aspects of Philip's behavior, particularly those of a sexual nature, couldn't be solely explained by the alleged psychosis. Based on the details of the crime, psychosis didn't seem to fully explain Philip's behavior. He interacted normally with friends, and his teachers didn't find him particularly unusual most of the time. The trial seemed to reveal a complex and unresolved understanding of Philip's mental state and the factors contributing to his actions. Philip meticulously planned the crime in advance and made extensive efforts to evade detection, despite self-incriminating acts such as using Colleen's credit card after the murder. This indicates that Philip had premeditated the crime, even though he wasn't particularly adept at executing his plans. This reasoning suggests that he was fully aware of right and wrong and did not experience any hallucinations or delusions. The tragic incident serves as a stark reminder of the critical importance of prioritizing mental health resources and intervention strategies in schools. It underscores the need for comprehensive mental health education, early intervention programs, and accessible support services for students experiencing emotional turmoil or psychological distress. As communities come together to mourn the loss of a beloved teacher and reflect on the lessons learned, there is a collective commitment to fostering a culture of empathy, understanding, and proactive mental health care in our schools. It is through these efforts that we honor the memory of those affected by this tragedy and strive to create a brighter, safer future for generations to come. Feel free to share any thoughts or opinions in the comments section below. They always spark interesting conversations. As always, I hope you find my analysis of this topic helpful. Thank you for watching.